You, I think it has certain things we have to address. And in the ways that things happening right now, people need to understand it's not normal, it's not okay in any type of way at all, in any format. And there's something called symbolism, and there's something called manipulation. There's also something called Stockholm Syndrome. The reason I say that, it's very important right now what's going on in our nation. No, it's never happened before. Similar to the phrase that people using on the social media networks for the past year. I've only been this years old when I found out. Now, what's going on here is that we're not in the rainy season, but we're getting rain. And if you think I'm talking about weather, think again. I saw on Carnival Tuesday that we had a definite bunch of showers come down in the early morning. Other than that also, I've heard about so much crimes for the Carnival season. It's shocking. And the illiteracy of people working under a government salary. We're talking about in all aspects. That's why I'm saying it in such a way for you to understand. What's going on right now? If you listen to everything that they tell you to do, and you know what is wrong, and you know what is right, why continue doing wrong, even though you know what's right in your own eyes and mind? Why asking this and saying this in such a way? There are people that are still sticking their heads in the sand and want you to do the same when you know what wrong is and making you think that you're insane. No. I'll show you just 3 references to make you understand exactly what I'm talking about. If you leave your grass to grow and it has no walkway through your yard and you see the grass getting high, there's nobody cutting the grass for you if it's inside your yard. If you have people that usually get hired to cut the grass from you inside of your yard, all well and good, that's a contract between you and them to actually do the job. Now, if you have your yard as an open yard and people usually walk to the next part of your yard to reach another part of the street, as in inside of your street to reach to the main street that is leading to which part ever you live, and you have that true thoroughfare. The reason I'm highlighting this in plenty yards in Trinidad and Tobago that are unrestricted by walls or fences, this happens. When this happens now, whose fault is this? People see an opportunity and take it. And because it's a shortcut, it'll get used to happening. Usually there's people falling out with people for making this happen and stuff. And some people don't want to listen to it. But the truth is, where water goes, it will always find a path. Now check this. I'm sleepy, but my brain is always there. And the things that I see transpired in the 2026 Carnival season, the reason and the purpose of Carnival was for the purpose to dance away from the oppressors. So why would the oppressors stop our dancing? San Fernando Carnival on Monday night, things transpired and certain people not observing. On top of that also, one of the loudest things in the history of the world is a trumpet. You know how hard it is to silence a trumpet? You know how hard it is to make an elephant stop trampling? You know how hard it is for people to observe the truth without being criticized? And do you know how hard it is to be speaking the truth and not be chastised? A few weeks ago, and I need to say this publicly now, there's a guy called Ronnie that had beliefs in the government, cussed me in all kinds of forms and formats. And that's because he has friends who was gaining personal gain incentives from this government. Then there's somebody else, what's his name? Trini. Trinity, aka Derek. Yo, I think he said, because I'm not quoting him because people with mental problems would be kind of off the chains. He had an issue, it would seem, with myself speaking the truth also. And last but not least, there's an overweight guy who is very much in support, who I put a video out, and a lot of people saw the video also, called Dale. Have some issues, it would seem. If you have a belief and you can't hear the truth, and you rather criticize the person from hearing the truth, when the truth is actually out there. Two things I love. I love reading, and furthermore, I like when the meek has knowledge. And some people don't understand. If you leave overripe fruits outside, it could be in the cold, as in not bitterly cold, but it could be regular temperature coolness, what we call in Trinidad like just before 6. And then furthermore, you leave it in regular atmosphere temperature also, you tend to get something called what we call sour flies. Now, the interesting thing about flies and sour flies, while highlighting this in the most layman of terms, not trying to be angry, not trying to be cursing and stuff of that nature, is that shit and sugar does usually attract flies. So when people talking shit, why it is that plenty normal sour flies just want to sit down and listen to things, and why when the sugar is out, the flies just want to be sucking. Understand what parallel what I was saying, you know? The 3 individuals that I spoke about before were in so much of support that in our WhatsApp group they tried to embarrass me. But you see, the last one is kind of interesting. You see, the Superior Regional Corporation, the San Fernando City Corporation, this disgusting radioactive iguana, and also this alcoholic diabetic. It's kind of interesting. If you're personal friends with somebody and they have political beliefs, all well and good. But if you try to slander somebody's name because of your beliefs, that's which part you'll get real plenty wood. This is what's going on in the country right now. I've been watching something, and I want you all to understand something. If somebody married into a family for the purpose of power, it's one thing. But if you actually realize what's going on in your nation and still decide to stick your heads in the sand when you are the entertainment ambassador to the nation for the past maybe I could honestly say about 28 years or 30 years, because you're in the business 40 years. Being arrogant, being disgusting, being a sadistic narcissist, being a manipulator, being a perfectionist is something a lot of people don't understand comes with responsibilities. And those responsibilities are within yourself, not within the people that you're being evil onto. So these character traits seem to transcend onto certain types of individuals, especially in Trinidad and Tobago when they have money. You know why I'm saying that? If you want to keep on controlling power, usually you have to do things. Controlling power, not holding power, are referring to. If you want to control power, there's something called a transfer case when you're dealing with Subarus. I can't remember any other brands. I'm thinking to myself off the top of my head would use a transfer case like how Subaru does it. But the thing about it, there was a significant flaw in the EJ20 and EJ25 engines. Yeah, we're talking about head gasket problems. So what's going on? When you have all those high revs and then you're turbocharged and you're going rev limiter limit, when you see you lose a head gasket and you know you had to change situations, it does really affect things. It might go over the head of some people saying, so simply put, if you have 220 running in your house and you have a PlayStation, a microwave, a small freezer, a fridge, a plasma TV, a big back TV, 17 phone chargers, one laptop, and you have this running in your house. And guess what? The rain just happened to come down 1 o'clock in the morning, real hard. Fall for about 7 hours and stuff until in the early morning when the lights supposed to be coming up naturally, as in the sunlight. But you have about 40 different times lightning flash throughout the night, and one of them zap the power and everything in the dark. And all well and good, you have data on your phone and stuff of that nature. But when you see the current come back, you didn't unplug anything, and every single thing spoiled. This is what's going on in the nation right now. And this is what's going on with people who want to control power. Now, the wrongs what being done in the nation. You know what's interesting about the wrongs? People have many a time used entertainment to cover up situations that they try not to see and talk about. Right now, it's very easy to get a vehicle from any company, make a purchase and stuff, but you realize that most vehicles nowadays have plastic bumpers. Yeah. And they're coming from very thinly made fenders. So when you run into something, there's something called side impact bars, and furthermore, yeah, good. And furthermore, it has something called a bumper brace. But if your bumper brace is made out of styrofoam, when you run into something, what's going to happen to you? Ask yourself that question. Now, I believe in something called honesty. A lot of people don't believe in that at all. Trust me. I know for a fact, if you stay away from sugar, it has a very big effect on the body. If you consume more water, it also does. If you consume greens, as in collard greens, as in watercressels, as in cucumbers, as in lettuce, as in bodi, as in cabbage, as in bhaji, these things are going to improve your stomach lining, because definitely you're going to get things coming out of your system. Why aren't we taking the negative out of our system? Why are we tolerating? There's a series of people that think Stockholm Syndrome is an okay thing. So the people who are oppressing you or suppressing you, you start enjoying this. So just like that engine coming there. Just like that engine coming there. That's the SR20 front wheel drive configuration. That's the non-turbo. And it's in a bigger vehicle. And it came that way from the factory. But I'll simply show you all this. SR20 VVL. Oh gosh, that's a hell of a piece of machinery if you're in a lighter vehicle, even if it's front wheel drive and all. And the thing about it, it have a sister system. Of course, that's the 4-wheel drive system that came in the 32 Skyline, the R32 Skyline, that is. And why highlighting this for you? Anytime you put an application in a different format, it changes things. And people need to understand there's something called finessing, and then there's something called regress. And the reason I'm saying regress, it have people that listens to everything you say and then close the chapter on the right side of their head. And they will hear everything on the left side, and you're seeing a facade of the face, of the side of them, and not understanding what's going on. When you see, you could block off everything that's transpiring with people around you is all well and good. You're doing self-protection, as in a feel-safe, to make sure certain things don't happen to you emotionally anymore. So we'll use the phrase emotional damage to understand exactly what's going on. But people with character and with money achieved easily usually has no self-morals, especially in this country. Because trust me, there's a very big history. And that's why I said, let me make this video, because here it is. In the entertainment realm, that man on Marval Road that have the radio station, for this Carnival 2026, do you know how much people were giving information to individuals? How come you're not seeing them and hearing them? Then on the opposite side of the coin, the man who win the road match, people are having several questions. I myself too have questions, but I'll sit and ponder it by myself for a little while. How it is you are hearing one song repeatedly more than another song, yet still when the judging comes, people say another man has win on this platform. Now, it's interesting. Being an ambassador, you have plenty of responsibilities. Being a statesman is the same way also. Moving brash, rash is one thing. Having bravado. But having a movado and looking down at others because I's the number one. I didn't come here just so I could bush for all it to trod. Yo, these are some very interesting things to say when it's supposed to use a word called humble. When you fire all your Trinidadian staff and hire some people from the Caribbean, when you are known bitter because you don't get your way, is another thing. It goes back to the words that I was saying, sadistic and narcissistic and furthermore manipulation. When you're that way and people don't listen to you, you try your best to make sure that they do. And from that happening, the individuals that I mentioned before, I call them suck bottoms, and it hurts their feelings. Because when you actually have loyalty to somebody and because they can't get to control, you try to slander somebody's name, that's a different type of sadistic. Me, I always fear God, and that's why I see animals, I always love them too. I always love coolness. We're not talking about the type in Washington, we're not talking about the type in Canada, next to Niagara. We're not talking about upstate Buffalo. Not that type of cool. I like coolness, yes, but nah, anytime you have to be using punching on a daily basis and vodka, yeah, things real tough. Why I like our country, our atmosphere, along with how we treat people, is just like Trinidad and Tobago naturally. It's warm. But anytime you have commerce, bacchanal and chaos, it is just like you wearing at least a sweater, a vest, a t-shirt, a tights, a panty, your stockings, gloves, a hairnet, what you call it, a bonnet, a Marvin Gaye, along with a facial mask, and you're standing up in hot sun in Maracas on a Sunday. Tell me if that's making any sense to you. So when people lying to you, when people oppressing you, when people suppressing others that speaking the truth, how it is you all could be okay with this going on in our country, when for many reasons hospitality and making people enjoy themselves is why people remember us in all kind of aspects. There were some stories that came out of the carnival, which part certain roads were blocked off, and furthermore which part illegal wrecking happened in Trinidad and Tobago. And within that, what's very interesting is that I came closer there because I see a message came in. When you put them on the right path of no lies, they hate you with a passion and you're not even seeing their eyes. I have 6 different pairs of shades and I love all of them, but you don't use all the shades at the same time. But definitely you know there's something called rain falling, and you have something called the sun is hot today morning. I still deal in hospitality and still know a lot of people that respect loyalty, honesty, the truth. So how it is that you literally have 2 people that getting paid via taxpayers, and the truth is something far away, like it's in Japan or Duluth. Don't let that go over your head now. What going on is also this. As just like my daughter and some other people say, you standing on business, daddy. If I definitely telling you something and you're trying to be louder than me because I'm saying the truth, and you're seeing what's going on in front of you, Isn't that what they call in the desert a mirage? The only mirage I remember is the old Mitsubishi. And then furthermore, it had the Galan that came out. Not the VGR, but the Mirage 4-wheel drive. Yeah. So I don't like fake ones. And I don't like people who try to insult people like they will threaten them with a gun. These things don't happen anymore. Like Carter said, we don't take intimidation. Trinidad and Tobago. Well, you're too young for soccer. I love reading. I love science. So it has something called molecular. And it has something called the structure. And it has called genes. When in your genes, you could tell certain things. Your DNA, or you came up from your ancestors, is what your knowing well-being. Some character traits has passed on. I have nothing inside of me called unresolved issues. I have nothing called what else, boy? What else could I easily say? I envy nothing for nobody for what they have. I hate when people label you of a situation because they don't want to understand. And that happens in Trinidad so much. It's like rum and coke with white oak. I told red rum and coke is what has been mixed from since we're small. White and Sprite is different tastes in your eyes and your palate one time. Yo, with that being said, Trinidad and Tobago, see you on the flip side. I love you guys. Deuces.